counts. Ready? 1, 2, 3. John, I do
Is
think
this the
that
same?
what
Is
you're
this the
talking about would
same
be a lot of.
monologue every time?
No, it's different.
It's different depending on who is saying it. It's a bit different. It's like the same information, but it's different based on the POV of who's saying it.
Oh yeah, the preacher was doing one.
Malcolm Reynolds did the last one too, but it's a different.
This seems like the same as the one before.
No, the beginning part was different.
Are we ready to go?
Oh, we're ready to find some information about book.
It's on the previously on now.
No, I'm saying, are we ready to? The fact that they're mentioning it tells me that book is going to be. We're going to
No, I was
learn a
just
little
trying to
bit
make sure
more.
that Mary knew that we were past the preamble and on the
Ah,
previously
okay.
on.
I
Is
don't have a
Preacher
previously on.
Okay, we'll let you know as soon as it's on the other side of that.
Yeah, Mary, this episode has one.
so is Preacher and Book like the same guy, just two different names that he goes by?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Book
Yeah,
is a
preacher is
preacher, or a shepherd as
he's
they
a
call it.
preacher,
Yeah.
But they call him a
but his
preacher
name is
sometimes.
Book.
Oh, okay. I thought they called him Preacher.
Now, Mary.
5 points, John, if you can pick out the featured guest star
I
here.
was gonna say.
Well, now I will.
It's in this scene. This featured person I'm talking about, it's their first role on.
Oh wait, is that who is that? Is that Zac Efron? No,
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
Oh my
it
Yes, it
goodness,
is.
that's good.
that's Zac Efron.
Yep.
It's
It's
totally
baby
Zac
Zac.
Efron.
Cow poop.
Sherry, did you say cow?
Yes.
That's quite a description there.
You don't want needles in your eye?
No, not really.
That that sounded like a struggle. Are we not getting any translation on what she said there?
Sorry, my daughter just walked in the room. She said, "Stupid son of a drooling whore and a monkey."
Well,
So I
that's a
guess I
pretty
should have
start.
said I should have said five kernels if you could guess the guest star. I'll have to send you five. Ew. Skinning a rabbit does not look fun.
Where's you singing, John?
Oh,
I
I
want
was
to
just
hear it
thinking.
this time. I want to hear it all the way through
Okay.
because I got it. It's just those like the ends. It's like you can't take this guy from me. I just want to get those me. I want to get that little M part right. I'm never really getting that right. Yeah, it's like Serenity. It's not easy.
It says me.
Cow poop.
Yeah, so Shepherd is the formal title, Preacher is the informal title, and Book is his name.
Do you think
I
they
like
had
that
all that?
line.
Do you think they had all that cattle pen stuff in their ship? I always wonder that when I watch this episode for some reason.
It
Oh
might
Yeah,
have
yeah.
you
been,
know it
but it was,
smelled like cattle.
I think it was actually on the. I think it was on the island. They knew where they were going on the planet. There could have been pens.
Could
I
be.
think more likely they had that stuff already because like if it was already there, it would belong to somebody. They would have had to steal it on planet.
Ooh la la.
Cute.
Whoa.
Kaylee has thought.
That's a PhD.
Yeah, he's a doctor, but doesn't know what a post holer is used for.
PhD post hole digger.
Junk. Not entirely sane. Garbage. Garbage. Garbage.
Ouch.
Wow. Them that choose it. Them that choose it. Just remembering that in case I have to Google it.
There's the poo.
I love this. I love how like period this sci-fi is, you know?
Nonsense.
The old Western look.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, feels kind of like, I don't know, like could be Deadwood-ish. I mean, some of the clothing is kind of modern, but
I like the
it's
mix
just
of
like
the
there's not
clothing.
really any of the really classic aspects of sci-fi even in you don't see a single bit of it in this scene.
Yes, you could watch this and just think this was not a sci-fi at all from that scene.
Yeah, I mean, and even this one, I mean, you'd have to like look and be like, why is there a weird looking car in there? You know, other than that, it's like this, you know, could be Deadwood.
Ooh, I love Dead. Simon's not too cool, is he?
No, no, this is not his life.
Couldn't be more awkward. Good morning, officers.
Bro, this is
I've got to say, this week I keep thinking Bill Nye, the science guy.
Summer Glau is a trained ballerina, so she gets to show off some of her dancing skills here.
Yep. That's why I'm convinced the Summer Glau is going to be doing some backflips, some cartwheels into kicking somebody in the face at some point here in this series. Anybody who hasn't seen the series want to take a bet with me that Summer Glau, that the River character just shows some just serious fighting skills at some point in this?
I think so because with the government involved, I think of train something like that.
Yeah, and that specifically, like the like ballet dance skills of Summer Glau are utilized in the character's specific fighting style. We'll say.
Yeah, she picked up on that dance awfully fast.
Well, we learned in that opening scene that she can pick up dances real fast.
Oh,
I love the juxtaposition of the intensity of the dance in the community with the violence.
Yeah, the two things. Yep.
Is that a strange bug on Book's chest?
There was a gunshot.
Blood. That's blood. He got shot.
Oh, that's
He got
blood?
shot.
Oh, okay. Now I see it. Oh.
It's not from Captain America.
or like Star Trek when Harry Kim had that bug.
That you lie there and be ironical is a great line.
Now,
So it's like saying shepherd here would be kind of the equivalent of saying like father, right? Like to a priest, like
Yeah.
right?
yeah,
Because that's
Mhm.
not his actual name. That's his title.
right. His
Correct.
It'd
name
be
is
like
Daryl Book.
right, yeah. Uh-oh, an alien's coming.
Luckily, I have no idea what that means because I haven't seen Alien, so cool.
You don't want to know, Mary. You just don't want.
Oh God, no. Constantly useless. We lost John.
He'll be.
Did I get knocked out of the room?
Yes.
Looks like
I must have just hit something.
I've done that before, where I accidentally.
I love that the mother's like, it's a silly game you two are playing. He doesn't know he's playing.
Doesn't the piano music though kind of sound like they're about to start singing?
I
Like it's
don't
the
get that.
Like suddenly she's gonna be like, "River's fine." River's more than fine.
you can make it a musical.
Just in general, she has a musical theater voice, you know?
Okay, come on, Ninja River.
Oh, if we see some ninja work here, I'm gonna be very happy.
Lost in the Woods is my favorite song from Frozen 2.
I think they'll be back.
Are you sure about?
Yeah, I bet 5 kernels on it.
You can also start a I have my drunk performance collection. You can also start a death scene collection as well.
Oh, Kaylee would have been a good one for that from the first episode when you thought she was gonna die. I love Jane's fake reading of the journal.
That scene is amazing.
Yeah, that would have made no sense without that pilot episode not having shown yet. When she said he did this for me once, it's like when?
Exactly.
Hmm. I do think this aired after the pilot. I'm trying to remember when they aired the pilot. I think third,
No, the pilot
second or
was
third.
was aired in December. The
Was it
series
that
started.
late?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow.
The pilot was aired like near the end.
Yeah, it was one of the last ones aired.
That's ridiculous.
I love that in science fiction. I love ships that don't have like this big huge alliance thing, you know? Like I like that when they don't have a sort of aerodynamic look to them. Because aerodynamics in space doesn't make any sense. I guess if your ship lands inside, goes into an atmosphere like the Firefly does, it would be helpful, but I like these like shapeless big things like the alliance.
So, like the Empire's pointy ships are not your favorite?
Oh, those don't make any sense. No, I mean, they're fine. They're very cool and iconic and stylish, but like they're made to look like sort of that you know, that somehow that shape contributes to their speed or something. But
As in, because there's no wind resistance, the shape of the ships don't really matter.
yeah, I mean, those imperial ships, like they would be better if they were just a big, huge, like rectangle. Then you could get a
Hmm.
lot more on it. But the fact that it's a triangle is kind of a little, it's designed to make it look just more aerodynamic and speed.
Intimidating. They're trying to look intimidating with their pointy end ship.
Yeah, and I guess that's probably also why maybe they would make them like that. These big alliance ships just make more sense to me. Just big, huge, like what look like big skyscrapers in space.
They definitely look like space cities, don't
Oh, are we gonna find something out about Book here? Big secret about to be revealed. He's part of the alliance.
They're like, oh look, he's an organ donor.
Oh, something's going on. Who is Book? Also, this was a really cool little, sort of surprise about this town and their need for him.
they? See, she just said that was a safe place, like the episode title.
So this episode actually aired seventh in the order. and the pilot was the 11th episode.
Home is where you hang your hat. What kind of berries are they?
Hodge
Hodge,
berries.
but in this it actually says blackberry.
Okay, but she said Hodgeberries. That's a made up
Yep.
berry, right?
It's a science fiction book.
It's a sci-fi berry.
Hodgeberries are an offshoot of snozberries.
I like that. Yes, a snozberry, snozberry, a hodgeberry.
Little sister.
Is it me or does she sound like Trudy from The Facts of Life?
You're nuts.
I don't think she sounds like Judy from Firefly.
Yeah, how do you explain?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Even 500 years in the future, they don't like witches. Kendra, there's no
No
word
one
for
has no one has ever liked a witch. Kendra.
I
Kendra,
know.
I like witches.
Remarcus is a safe place for you, Ken.
Clearly, you guys have accepted me.
You and your witchy.
And he said, bull crap.
There's a lot of poo in this episode.
Very much so. Yeah, this episode, the script jumps back and forth.
This is the episode where I realized how young Simon really was because at the beginning it was only 11 years prior to where their current time is. And he would look like he was maybe between 10 and 12, maybe 13 years old, or maybe I'm totally off on. Young Zac Efron looks super young to me, so I don't know how old he is.
I'm wondering if the parents know what's going on with her, and they think she's a witch also, or something to that effect. I know you can't say, but
Well, earlier in the series, they implied that the parents are the ones who chose to send her to that place, and that if he took her back there to them, they would just send her back again. That's kind of what he told the crew earlier on. Or that's what I got out of what he told the crew when he was
If
explaining.
she reads minds, then how is she spinning a falsehood? That's the
Yeah.
part that always gets me.
It gets you like the writing, or it gets you like
No, like the
like
guy is the leader and he
the guy's
accuses
logic
her.
is real dumb.
Well, he is a guy who killed somebody to get that job, so.
I know, but when you hear that statement, she reads minds and spins falsehoods. Well, if she's reading mind, then she's not lying. She's read your mind. Like one or the other, but
Book thinks of it as his home.
Zac Efron was 15 when he did.
Oh, he looks so young. Either way, the doctor's still in his 20s. Kidnap a doctor, burn a doctor.
Oh, he needs to go get that post holer. Wait a second. How'd they get over there?
Bake them here.
Wait a
Ain't
second.
we
Did
just?
wait? Did the Firefly or did the Serenity? Or sorry, did Serenity go somewhere where it couldn't be heard, then drop them down, and then flew over here so that they could make that grand entrance?
Seems
That's what
like
we
it.
have to
Seems
assume.
like.
They
That's
do
a little,
have shuttles.
it's a little goofy.
Yeah, maybe a Nara drop.
The mule.
He'll never notice that stuff was gone through.
I'm with Mal on that one. He was
Yep.
Simon was fishing for a compliment.
You do remember, well, okay.
He
So
pulled her chair out for.
River took off of his plate, and he's like, "What? Did I just see Zach Efron in
Yes,
the
you
crowd?"
did.
Yeah, Zach
He
Yeah,
Efron
was
that
was
he
Zac
was
young
Efron
nothing.
Simon.
was the little boy. He was the
Oh
young Simon.
my gosh!
So I was going to say, John, you do remember that in the scene before with his father said to him, if you try something like this again, I will not come back for you. So his father said to him, I'm not coming back for you. But Mal came back.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. Yeah,
So I don't think he
yeah,
was
but
fishing.
From Mal's perspective, it's like, yeah, you're on my crew. I came back for you. What's the big deal?
But for Simon, it's not fishing as much as like, well, I may be on your crew, but why would that be an automatic that you're going to come back for me? I'm someone's son, and he didn't come back for me.
Right. It's Simon's way of saying, you must think I'm special. You must care about me.
I
Right.
no,
And
I
Mal's
think
like,
he's
well,
Wait,
obviously,
confused.
but I'm not going to say it.
right. It's like, yeah, kind of. I mean, yeah, I get it. I mean, I get why Simon would feel that way. It's more about him, sort of fishing out of Mal the confirmation that how he feels is what Mal was intending, which
Well,
is kind of fishing for a compliment,
I think that
or
Simon
it's
really
fishing
thought.
for something.
I really think Simon thought that they were left behind and they were never going to come back for him too. Though when that ship took off and he saw it in his mind, he thought they've just left us and they don't care, and so he did not expect them to come back. So he might have been fishing for a compliment, but I think he was genuinely curious as well because he's confused by that. I think he's confused by.
Now, do you no, here's a question for the room. Do you think that Mal always intended to go back?
I
No,
do.
I don't think he
I
did.
I think he was. I think he wasn't worried about it in the beginning. I think he thought he'd just go back and find it later, but he was worried about Book. And he was going to deal with that first.
Yeah, I agree with Chris.
I think he was worried about Book, but but they kind of made him feel a little guilty that he didn't go back, and I think that's why he finally did. I don't think he was originally thinking this guy's on my crew.
Yeah, I'm actually with I'm with Sherry on this one. As like romantic and sweet as it would be to sort of to imagine that Mal is like, you know, your pirate with the heart of gold here. It just doesn't really totally seem. Yeah, I think he was guilted. I think that I don't think I think that he was ready to get out of there and absolutely like the focusing on Book was like first priority, and I don't think that he cared much about him. And you know, I think that just a just from a safety perspective, just in terms of efficiency, like, that costs them fuel to go back, that costs them time, that's risky, all that stuff. Mal doesn't seem like the type of person who would, in most situations, give in to that.
Do you think
I
that's the where
disagree.
So real
the
quick,
title?
real quick, I just want to let people that are in that are listening, now that it's over, if anybody else wants to come up on the couch and have and talk the post conversation with us, feel free.
I want to know if do you think that that's where the word the title for this episode is safe. If you think that that's where it actually came from them
I
being safe in a way, getting it, getting Book safe, and then maybe even after that, River and Simon to be safe.
I
Hmm.
think it was kind of like a mixture of things because that in that town where they got kidnapped to, that town, those people think that they're safe, but they're not fully safe. But then I don't know. Yeah, interesting question.
I think that a better name for this episode would have been Home.
Yes,
Hmm.
I agree with that.
I can agree
when
with
when
yeah.
when I saw the name of the episode, I was actually convinced that safe would be in reference to an actual safe that they needed to crack.
It's so funny because I was gonna tweet something about that, and then I was like, I don't want to give anything away.
Yeah, it doesn't. There's no safe in the episode, so it really until I actually had forgotten the name of the episode until you just said it. I'm like, why was it called safe? like I like I mean, I guess it's really good. It's a really good fodder for conversation, but I don't really know why it was called safe. If I have to be
Right.
totally honest, that there was nothing about this episode that felt any more about the themes of safety than any other episode that we've seen so far.
The
I
only
was
time
thinking
it's
Before,
really
brother trying to keep his sister safe most of the time.
Well, and
Hmm.
the only other time it's really referenced is that the nurse kind of refers to them being safe where they are. It's a nice,
Oh,
safe, quiet
right,
place.
right. And actually, that's true, Jen. The like all of those flashback scenes are really like about Simon needing to keep his sister safe and needing to like get her, safe, and then that also is reinforced in the present with all of that everything that Simon's going through to keep her safe, and so yeah, and then it's true like the the although I would argue that like the town really needs more needs to be healthy than safe, but yes, it's true that they do come to that town and there is like this false sense of safety that they're there.
yeah, I think it's a bit of a muddied title in terms of like tying it into the theme. It's a little bit muddy. I think some of the other episodes are more aptly titled. You kind of have to like do a little bit of gymnastics to understand like how it ties into the themes of the
Yeah,
episode. Though I do think
yeah.
it fits.
Can
And before
I?
we get too far off of my question, so my thought on that, on whether Mal intended from the beginning to go back. So I do agree with John and Sherry that he didn't at first, and I think that last conversation he has with Book is what ultimately makes him realize this is for all intents and purposes their home. This is the only place that they are safe. and that is ultimately what made him go back when Book said, it's nice to be home. He realized like this is their home. They feel like a family, and this is once again the push pull of the morality of Malcolm Reynolds. Am I an outlaw who's given up on the world and just doing whatever, or do I still have that heart of gold? And it's the
Sorry,
constant
I
struggle of him.
I gotta disagree here, guys. When people are saying he never intended to go back, I think he totally intended to go back. And when Inara comes to him on the bridge and says to him, "You know where there's doctor," his first thought is Simon. And so that goes to prove that he's thinking of them. He hasn't forgotten them. He hasn't moved on. And when they come back off of the Alliance ship, and Jane says, it'll be so much easier to go around without refugees. Zoe looks at the captain knowingly and says, he's right. And he's like, yes, I know. It's almost like, I know, but it's not going to change my mind. Like, I feel like he was very intent on, like, he was thinking about them when they were leaving. He was thinking about them when they were going back. I don't think there was any question that he was going to be leaving them behind. He was just pragmatic. If we can't get to them soon enough, like he told Inara, it's going to take too long to go looking for him. We need to get book help now.
Yeah, I think it was more of a soldier plan. Like, we've got to do this now. They need to survive until we get back.
Triage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be that. That's I think that's also a good interpretation of it too. I think, to my mind, I think the if to me, if the decision isn't a tortured one, then I'm looking for where the conflict is. Like, will he come back? Like, if I know the entire time, oh, he's going to come back before they get burned at the stake, then there's no stakes. If I, for me, like, it needs to be a conflicted decision. To me, it does read like that because that's where the drama comes from. Who is Malcolm Reynolds? What kind of man is he? Is he going to come back for them or not? And if I'm not sure about that, that to me makes it more exciting.
Yeah,
I
Maybe
I would
think the
agree.
Malcolm.
I would
audience
agree
is supposed
narratively
to be
that
sure.
that's the case, but I also would just say that there are other things that support that his pragmatism is one that would also recognize the danger that he'd be putting the rest of his crew in by going back.
But I would say that it's the audience that's supposed to be questioning, but that Mal and Zoe, I think, were always on the same wavelength the whole time. But we as an audience, we're wondering if he's going back or not. And there was one more thing what I was going to say. Oh, so the idea of safe for me is that Simon wasn't safe with or Simon and River really weren't safe with their own family, like wasn't supported and encouraged by his own family. They weren't safe on this new village, but they're now safe in Serenity.
Yes, I agree with that, and that's why for me, like, I was like, man, I see this as being more about like finding home, and I think that word safe is used as an analog for home. Where is their actual home? Where is their family? Where are they safe? And I think it's a really great episode in terms of exploring that.
I think that
And
I think a good I think a
interesting
good
thing about this
compromise.
is that this is the lowest rated episode of
Oh,
Firefly.
really? I think that a good word that is sort of in between safe and home is refuge.
Ooh, I like that.
I think that refuge word. I also think that like um, what you just said, Mary, also supports what Maui is saying um, in that Simon. It's true. Like safe is like the Serenity is the home or is the safe place that River and Simon never had, and now they have that. And there's something about that realization coming to Mal in that scene with Book at the end that I find very powerful, and I think that that's the reason why I'm inclined to at least want to believe that Mal had a change of heart in that moment, rather than he sort of always knew he was going to go back.
I like to think of Mal being the way Mary was thinking about him, but I guess I always thought he was going to go back for reasons that he doesn't really say until the very end that they're part of the crew, but I can see both points of view.
If
Kind of
Mal
interesting
left
to listen
Simon
to.
there, Kaylee would have killed him in his sleep and he'd never have to worry about Jane.
That's funny.
Well, I actually like I think what like the reason I believe so strongly is that we've seen in the episodes past that Mal always plans ahead and that he doesn't always show his cards. So my issue with him having a change of heart is that it would affect his character. It would change the kind of man he is. I don't think he is the kind of man who would turn on his crew, just like when Simon was like, why did you come back? He's like, you're part of my crew. Why are we even talking about that? I do think he is genuinely that person. And if he had to have a change of heart, then he's not that person.
See, I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I think that is the man who he is becoming again, and is the man who he once was. But at the beginning of the series, that is not the person that he is. And he's finding that in himself again. This is a journey of discovery of him finding his faith in humanity and his faith in himself again. And so, yeah, he was always going to come back for them, but even he didn't realize that in the moment.
That's
It took
definitely
him a
the
while to catch up to what his heart was saying.
But wait, what about the
Hey,
idea that
Charles.
what about the idea that he would come back for them if he could, but that he's not putting that over the current safety of the crew that he has. And of course that means dealing with Book now and getting all of this, but it could also mean like, okay, we're past all the book stuff. Is it actually is it actually safe for us to go back for them right now? And so for us to say, oh, he always knew that they were coming back, that takes away from the complexity of a character who understands that circumstances change, and that to be able to say, I'm definitely going to be going back for them, would be him being able to read the future and know what those given circumstances would be. He doesn't know. He knows right now I have to deal with Book, and we'll see where we are after that is done. We may be in the position where we can go back, but we may not be. And as captain of this ship, my priority is to keep people who are here safe. And I wish that they were here with us, but they're not. You know what I mean? That's more how I see that.
Charles, did you have something you wanted to say? I saw you unmute a couple times.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think that Mal is always kind of like in that kind of in between spot. Maybe the man he was before, the Battle of Serenity. Maybe I think that Zoe really keeps him. She's his conscience. She's the one that the buoy that keeps him afloat, as to being a good man. Um, and she's kind of like that thing that keeps him. I mean, if you look at the contrast between the two of them, Zoe has a healthy relationship with her husband. She tends to make decisions that are thought out. And Mal is sort of like this impetuous child, and she's the mature one that keeps him, headed in the right direction, true north sort of thing. And so I think that Mal maybe didn't really plan on going back. Maybe that's not even, he didn't even think that far ahead. He's kind of in the moment. I need to do this now, and this is what I need to do, and I'll move on. It's just like taking Book to the doctor. It's like he had a choice, but he could have just said no. I'm not going to go to into the lion's den at this Alliance ship. But Zoe kind of guided him to it.
Yes, and the textual evidence of what you're saying is when he says, "I we just lost two people. I'm not planning on losing a third." Right? He's like, "We might have lost them, but we have the chance to save this man that we still have," and
Yeah,
that's
and
what I care about
technically,
in this
he
moment.
didn't. They didn't even lose those two people because I mean they were within, you know, the Reach. Obviously, they came back for him and were able to get them. But yeah, it's that whole idea of we lost the two. Now I'm going to save the one,
Yeah,
and it's just in the moment.
also the fact that he's referring to them in the past tense says something. You
Exactly.
know, he views them in that moment as lost, and so I'm taking him at his word that that if he thought we might be going back for them there, or even if he wanted to plant that that idea into their heads, he'd have said it. But because he didn't say it, either he's thinking in the moment, we're probably not going back for them, or he's thinking, maybe we'll go back for them if the circumstances are right after we've gotten through all of this, but I'm certainly not going to get anybody's hopes up for that. So I'm certainly not going to be saying it.
All right. So my next question I had for everybody, do you have a favorite character in this episode?
Not the not the patron.
What? You didn't like that guy?
The patron was my least favorite, just in all ways.
I thought he would be your favorite. I'm really disappointed in that answer. I'm just kidding. He looks like the normal evil kind of casted patron, doesn't he?
Yeah. What about everybody else? You got a favorite or least favorite in this episode?
Jane for his bumble fucking around in Simon's room and trying to play it off cool and being the guy with the gun who they needed to thwart.
Jane is always awesome, but Mal is always my favorite.
So
Mal had
was
some pretty
Jane.
wonderful moments in this, character wise, and now 5 episodes in, I'm like developing a stronger attachment to him in this type of a role than like I had for Han Solo. Like I'm starting to like develop, like it's starting to compete with Han Solo. Yeah, just in terms of how I just feeling like I know the character, and all of their nuances and whatnot. It's starting to compete here. But I'm gonna go with Book as my favorite for the episode because he's the character that I am now the most fascinated with.
What do you think that's about? His identity.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm actually kind of a little clueless. I'm thinking maybe he is a former high level alliance person and he left in order to like maybe he had some sort of a crisis in his past life, and he turned to God, and he's been living this new life as a man of God, and but he still has his old ID card in case he needs to use it occasionally. I really don't know, but I'm very fascinated. That's for sure.
I really like that scene and the shock on the two of their faces, looking back at each other like they didn't know what happened. What I don't like is the how easy it was. It's just like, oh, here in my pocket, I have nothing else except this ID.
Yeah, I wonder if the ident cards are like our like driver's license or state ID cards, and like, but you if you scan them, it gives you that person's entire like right like record. So
That's
like they
what I
scan
think
his
it is.
That's the
That's what
way.
I got.
yeah.
I got that like everybody has some form of identification that is like completely like locked into the entire alliance network, and anywhere you are in the entire galaxy, like it'll come up and tell them everything they need to know about you.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess, and maybe he had it in his pocket because he was, going on the planet, and so he needed it for some reason.
I just think with the ship full of pirates, they would have already looked at his ID by now, with his permission or not.
But like, how
They might
often
not
do
have
people have a
access to
chance
it.
to like take your
Yeah, they might not have the
how often do people
clearance.
have a chance to take your driver's license off? Like that's something you always have on your person. He's probably just not leaving it laying around for anybody to grab.
Can I ask a question for Doug?
Absolutely.
Uh-oh.
Well, I know that you're really like you mentioned to me that you're really a stickler for sci-fi that like has logic behind it, or you appreciate that. And um, can you help me unpack this thing with like this thing with Serenity like showing up in the town, but then you know entrance from Mal and Zoe behind them, like how that happened, how that did that go down?
I believe in a previous episode, Honora's shuttle docked with Serenity, did it not? She was off on her own on
Yep.
one of the core worlds.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So are those shuttles soundless?
I mean, if you're far enough away, sure.
So if
Planet's got plenty of atmosphere, doesn't
so
it?
they were far enough. So they were far enough away, and
That would be
then
my best guess.
right,
Put the shuttle down, set down like quarter
walk
mile
a couple
outside town.
walk walk a couple miles to the town. When you're in proximity of the town, call the Firefly or call Serenity to fly overhead.
They could have let them off on, and they have the mule, which they drove. It's in the ship. They drove it to in Paradiso to give the medication back. So they do have a vehicle. They don't have to walk.
Am I just nitpick?
Also,
Am I just nitpicking like a just
Yep.
a tropey a
Well, no,
tropey
Yeah,
no, I,
but
I think
they
it's
glorious
need
fair though.
finale
I
climax
think
moment?
I think it's fair though because it's so well timed to the moment where they're like literally about to be burned at the stake. Like that, Jane is overhead and they're walking into the scene right at that exact moment. It is very well timed. It's kind of strange.
I feel like for the ideal shock and awe, you would do it the other way and have them walk up and then the ship flies overhead.
Yes,
also,
like they're
You know,
waiting for the most dramatic moment to walk in. That'd be great.
Yeah,
if the two
I would have probably
ships,
questioned that way less. I would have been like, oh wow, there they are, but I probably would have guessed that that Serenity would have been showing up.
what I
if
mean is, from a tactical perspective, you would expect them to walk up, make some noise, distract, and then have the overwhelming firepower show itself. It feels like they botched the delivery on it, and that's why everybody got to look at Jane and go, huh? Because there wasn't the face character, there wasn't the mouthpiece to say, cut her the hell down.
if the two ships like if you had the main ship there, Serenity, like overhead, and like this bright light shining at you, like the other smaller ship could have landed right behind the crowd, like probably very close to them, and it probably made a whole lot less noise. And they're not going to turn around to look. Oh, is there a noise behind me? Because they have this giant ship right in front of them, shining a light on them. Right, that's where their attention's going to be. So
Oh,
I
I
could.
that that's the best. That's I'm going with that. That's the closest one to actually uh, that I can make any sense of it of that because that I mean aside from me just being like oh that's just writing that's just meant to like be a really big exciting climax but
Right, yeah. I,
logically that makes the most sense. It would have been funny if they came running, like, as though they had been like trying to catch up, like to try and get there for the climax.
I'm trying to imagine how tough they would sound panting from running. They wouldn't be big damn heroes anymore.
Yeah, definitely not big damn heroes, ain't they just?
I love that. I love that exchange. It's so
So lowest rated episode, lowest
Viewed.
on
uh,
Yeah,
Viewed
like, well,
viewed episode.
lowest rated, lowest viewed. Like, I think it's the lowest on IMDb. I was looking at the
Interesting.
like the trivia facts for this episode on
Hmm.
there. Yeah, it says the while this episode is currently rated the lowest, it's the origin of one of the most quoted scenes. Well, Zoe, looks like we got here in the nick of time. Does that make us big damn heroes, sir?
Anyway, it's the origin of what?
The origin of that. Well, Zoe, looks like we got here in the nick of time. What does that make us? And Zoe says, "Big
Big
damn heroes,
damn
sir."
heroes.
That's
Big
a
That's a
damn
very
big
heroes.
famous.
tagline.
Yeah, in the fandom, like people love that line.
Big damn heroes. That's
Hmm.
cool. That's cool. Big damn heroes. I'm writing that down.
So far,
Also,
you've heard Captain Tight Pants
Captain Tight Pants.
and Big Damn Heroes. Those are like some of the
Shiny.
most like what?
Shiny.
I want.
Another little bit of trivia here. Nathan Fillion appeared with Alan Tudyk as a guest on Batman, and when asked about his favorite memory from the show, this episode he quoted as having the scene at the end where they're having dinner. They're having a steak dinner. That was a steak dinner compliments from one of their former cargo passengers. That scene was the last shot before lunch that day. After finishing the take, the crew broke for lunch, and the cast actually ate lunch of the steak dinners provided for the shoot. And he said it felt like being at home having dinner with his best friend. And so that's his favorite memory from being on the show.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Oh, and one other piece of trivia: one of the cows um, kick one of the cow patties as they exit, revealing it is a solid prop instead of mushy cow poop.
I was just gonna say
Yeah,
that too.
I was gonna say they're all perfectly laid out, and you had a stampede of cows coming out, and not one is disturbed with like these little cow ballet feet dancing around them to get out.
Yeah, the only one that was
Exactly
disturbed
what
was
it
the one that
was.
Simon. So, did you have anything in particular you really liked about the episode, Joe? Or anybody else who hadn't seen it before?
My favorite thing about the episode was just sort of the anachronistic aspect of mixing space and what has been in so far the most like just Western, just Western style episode. I mean, we've gotten Western stuff throughout the series, but it's always been in like little bits. Where it's here, it just like there was just so much of it, and I really like that. In general, I like playing. I like the mixing of genres in that way, and this show does that more than I've seen anywhere else that I can really remember. Uh, and I really like that. I loved like those scenes and with the cows in being corralled, and not a single thing in the entire scene is even slightly futuristic looking. Nothing. Everybody's just wearing like modern, normalish modern clothes or period style Western attire.
No major CGI.
Yeah, and I think that it's for that reason that I really appreciate it, because it's I think that we're so conditioned to to believing that sci-fi needs to have lots and lots of special effects and CGI and weird objects, futuristic objects, in order for the future, the futurism to be believable. But the truth is that most of most of our world, like 2021, if you were to go back 30 years, how much of the world really is that different? I mean, of course, there are like, little things here and there, but for the most part, right, like most buildings will be kind of looking the same. Everybody still has like four white walls in their room, and a lot of the things that we hold on for a long time. And so actually I just really appreciate when science fiction recognizes that actually future worlds don't really let go of old things.
Yeah, I'm still disappointed there's no hovercrafts. I want to fly around like the Jetsons. Just kidding.
So
30
just
years
a
ago
little
tomorrow, I
point
mean.
of contention because it's been pointed out to me a couple of times. They are cattle, not cows. They are cattle. There's both male and females in there.
They are some there were some cattles in there, yeah. That's right. There were some males and females in there. Um, I didn't see any males in there, but I wasn't really looking for them.
It's a her.
Does anybody else have any moments, favorite moments, anything they want to say from this episode?
I really loved the scene when the brother and the sister hug and he said, "Light it." It was like, oh,
Yeah, I was gonna say that's my favorite thing about the entire episode is the sibling relationship that it shows that he was gonna do anything for her from when he was a young child. Like I love.
Do you think that's because they were both so incredibly intelligent, genius levels, that they didn't have a lot of other children around that they could relate to or play with or have conversation with, or did you just think they just happened to be that close? Like, do you
I'm.
think there's a reason for that closeness?
I mean, I can understand Simon maybe recognizing that River is unique and maybe wanting to protect her, but I don't know. I kind of feel like they're both really interested in each other. Like River wants to make her brother laugh and involve him in her stories when she's a little girl. So I don't know.
I mean, they're they've known each other their whole lives. They're friends. They're friends as well as family. I mean, I have a closeness to my own sister that reminds me a lot of their relationship. And if you just the simplest is just like that that she was my first friend. Simple as that.
And
I
that's
think,
fair.
and
I was just
that's what I see from them is that's they're each other's first friend.
I was just curious if anybody had any theories as to why he was willing to die with her on the stake versus
I
just
mean,
on.
I just think
I th-
he wouldn't be able to bear. I think that he wouldn't be able to like bear living with her having been killed in front of him. So he's thinking, kill me too. Like,
yeah, I think it was like in that moment he's like you're not going to just murder my sister in front of me and then force me to be your doctor. If you're going to murder my sister, then you're going to have to kill me too. And so go ahead, light it. Like, if you're going to do this to
yeah,
her, you're doing it to me.
yeah. There's definitely a little bit of a he's putting the pressure on them because he understands that he is valuable to them, and he's like, okay, if it's that important to you to kill her, then you'd kill me as well. But if you don't want to, my only thing about that, even though it's a really like it's a really nice moment, between a moment of sacrifice for your family and the person that you love. I just kept thinking, there's a whole town of people here. They're just going to go up here and grab the guy and pull him off of there.
Also, I feel like sorry, it's Sarah. I feel like he's been like everything that he has done up until this point has been for her, right? Like everything he risked in like rescuing her and being a fugitive. So if they're gonna kill her, I think he kind of was like, "This is what would I do? What would I be doing now? Like, so this is if it's gonna go down like this, that's how it has to go down. You want to take us? You're gonna take us together."
Yeah, it's
Um,
like kind of it's like almost like the ultimate. It's the ultimate like it's the ultimate part of the job that he's been doing. Everything has been about keeping her safe, right? And this is the ultimate thing. She's about to be killed, and there's like no other thing except that I I, I go with her, like, because otherwise I continue living having failed this one thing that I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that if we think back, that everybody's been talking about how much he's sacrificed, and Ara was like saying that in the very beginning, about he sacrificed his life, right? And it's his life because his livelihood as a doctor, the life that he was, his parents kept talking about that was guaranteed him. But this is actually the literal sacrifice of his life, not the life that everybody else is talking about, but his actual life.
Yeah, and it's interesting because even though he's the older brother, he idolizes his sister. He sees his sister in a way that no one else in his life prior to that, prior to being on Serenity, saw her. Like he's telling his parents, like, look at this. Like, do you actually know your kid? Like, this is the kid that was correcting my spelling when she was 3 years old, right? Like, he knows her so well. Like, this is his best friend in the world. This is the person that he looked up to most. It's such a wonderful, interesting relationship. I think between those two.
If I may, I think you all missed the point of the episode's name. Home for Simon is River. He got out of his parents' house because of her. He lost what would have been a wealthy, successful career because of her. He saw Serenity fly off and thought he lost that home because of her. This town had a house set aside for him, and they're going to burn her at the stake. And Simon's like, "No, that this is what I need to continue."
But that's not the name of the
That's
episode. The
not the
name of the
end.
episode
The
is
name of the
Safe.
episode is
I,
Safe.
I think it should be called Home. That's like my idea of it. Actually, like John's idea is Refuge being a more apt
Yeah,
title,
because
somewhere
a
in between
refuge
Safe and Home.
is a place of safety.
I love it all. Thanks. I like hearing what you all had to say. But by the way, if anybody is collecting kernels, you can harvest now. That's a reminder for those of us who sometimes forget.
Well,
If
I
you're interested.
my showcase unlocks 3 minutes before the end of the harvest window, and I'm like crossing my fingers that I can get the new ones in as quickly as possible, and then get over and harvest before I lose that harvest button, and that my app doesn't crash along the way.
Oh my gosh. I hope it doesn't crash on you too, just so you can use them.
So my last question for everybody is for people that haven't seen Firefly. I'm just curious as to any wild speculations that you have at this point, like, for characters or the plot lines where you think it's going. I'm very curious to see where people think we are at and where we're headed.
Well, we know one of John's so far. Do you want to expand on that at all, John?
What's one of mine that we're gonna see? Ninja River.
You think, yeah, you think River's going to be.
I am. I am I'm prepared to say I am so convinced that she's going to be a ninja, but more so that we're going to see like some kind of a cartwheel type move.
Oh, very specific. What do you think's going to happen with? Do you have any theories on any other characters? Like, have you during this episode, you were wondering we were going to get more about Book. Have you been thinking about since that reveal that there might be something more about Book, what he might be? I don't know if I asked that question right.
Yeah, I think that we're probably going to find out. We're going to probably find out more about Book this season. Um, I'm going to guess that we're going to find out most of what we need to know about who Book is before the end of the season. Uh, and that's my prediction on Book. Uh,
Are you the only one up on the couch that hasn't seen it yet?
Yeah, is there
Bob,
anybody
have you
else
No,
seen this
that
one?
No,
hasn't
Jen,
seen
Bob.
it?
Jen and Bob.
Yeah, I've never seen
That's
it.
right.
Yeah,
I cor-
y'all got anything you want to add to this? Any thoughts of what's happening, what's going to happen?
Yeah, I don't really have any big opinions or expectations yet. One thing I was wondering, is River actually a witch, or is she like some kind of mutant, or like some kind of experiments made on her or something that.
well,
Can't
what do
tell you.
you think? I mean, do you have like a theory on that based on what you've learned so far in these 5 episodes?
So it seems like they're trying to portray that she can like sense or feel like other people's, like even when Book got shot, like she was dancing, you know, however far away, maybe half a mile away, and it's like she could sense that he was hurt, or she's. It seems like she's had other,
Well, did
you
you
know.
hear what she had said with when right before the ship came into view?
Hmm.
She turns around and said to Simon, "It's a post holers for making holes for posts," which is what Kaylee had told them. It was told Simon it was earlier. So it's something to think about. It's what does she do around things. It's you. We don't know what she's done, except for that they've drilled into her brain because they showed that in another episode, but we don't know what exactly is going on with her.
Right, and then we did see her. Right, we saw her saying things that she couldn't possibly know about that little girl, saying things that she couldn't possibly know about the douchebag that slapped her. So it seems like there's at least some sort of um, premonition powers or mind reading powers of some sort that they're hinting at.
It's
Um,
Arthur C. Clarke's third law, right? Which is any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Like I I I think that magic and technology here are kind of the same thing. Um, Ultimately, I I believe that um, that she's being used in a pretty classic sci-fi trope fashion of the the genius type person, or the person born with special abilities being experimented on by the government to turn them into some kind of special weapon. But when a person like that is placed in a setting like this town, her abilities are indistinguishable from magic. They look like magic, and for all intents and purposes, they are within the context of that town. But I think that whatever she can do here, most of that was given to her in a pretty again, guessing, but I would say is like not that different than a lot of the stuff that we see in the Marvel universe with characters who have been like born with somewhat special powers that have been given like that have been taken, like Wolverine, for example, and like been given like all of this like additional stuff to make them even more powerful.
so you think she's a mutant that has been experimented on to be an even more powerful mutant?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the word mutant is the right word within the context
Latent
of this.
abilities.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't know if mutant's the right word within the context of this particular science fiction universe, but like if she existed in the Marvel universe, she'd almost definitely be a mutant.
It's either something like that or possibly some kind of hardware that was implanted into her.
Ooh, I like that. I hadn't thought of that. That would be very interesting, right? Because we did see some sort of weird thing like that little stick or the little probe thing. So that that might be very interesting that that she's actually got some kind of um she's some almost like cyborg now, like she's got some brain augmentation technology that's like amplifying whatever already just gifted abilities that she had. Without it, she'd be just, a pretty gifted individual who can dance better than most people and can remember things better than most people and just is a high on the scale of intelligence. But with this like little implant in there, that's where the backflips come in. That's where the cartwheels and stuff happen.
Yeah, at times too, she almost seems like she's, I don't know, like brain damage or some kind of like she has no, sense of what's happening, what's around her. Like she's kind of like lost in this kind of, I don't know if like a trance or like a, I don't know how to describe it, but um, like
The
almost like the processor's running, but she's not really fully in control of, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's hard
Yeah,
to
totally.
explain.
And if going off of that, and of course all of the Firefly fans who've watched the show are like kind of laughing right now because they either they're laughing
I'm
because
not
Yeah.
they're
laughing.
either laughing because you
Who's
totally
laughing?
got it right, or they're laughing because you are completely off base. But it doesn't matter; they're having fun. But like going off of that, like there's something interesting about the idea that she would have this like chip in her that also sort of is almost like a memory chip and has all of this additional stuff on it to make her more intelligent, give her all kinds of information that she needs, and that thing might actually not be functioning quite right. By the way, Chris, the new rule is that you can't actually drop a memento until 15 minutes after the end of your event. Your event just ended.
Oh.
Your event just ended 4 minutes ago, which means that there's still another 15 minutes to harvest. And it's only after that harvest window has officially ended that you then get the ability to drop the memento. It's a new rule
I just
design
I thought it was at the
designed to
end of the
mostly
event.
keep the rooms, engaged and focused on the conversation rather than focused on everybody going to crack a memento.
That's fine. I just wanted to make sure my button wasn't broken.
Okay, I
Since
thought
I
it
told
was
everybody.
15 minutes before the end of the event.
No, no, no. It is 15 minutes after the end of the event. The idea is that like we make sure that we can get to the end of the event and past a bit the end of the event, because the truth is we never end our events on the end of the event. We always go over. And so 15 minutes past that end allows people who still were, engrossed in conversation about the episode to know that for the most part, the room's focus is still on the discussion. So anyway, yeah, no, 15 minutes after.
So I do have a question. Okay, and this is like totally off the wall kind of question, but at one point in the episode, River says that Daddy's going to come get them. Do you think she literally meant her father or Captain Mal?
I think she meant Mal.
I think that this is sort of what Bob's getting at is that she's not quite there. She's mixing things up, So I think that she's saying daddy, and maybe, especially given that we've watched the episode and we've seen her actual daddy, she's probably mixing up that guy and Mal, who now is sort of functioning as a father figure
I
for her.
think because of the way Mal is with the rest of the crew, and I think that River is uh, feeling, the way everybody feels towards him. I think she's thinking of herself as part of his family, and as the captain, he would be that father figure.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing to call. It's just
Maybe
a weird thing to call him, though. I mean, like, I get that she would be feeling that, and that, like, but I just feel like there's a little bit of a blending, like that there's something going on. Like, how, like, in a dream, sometimes we're like dreaming about somebody, and then we wake up and we're like, that wasn't that person. You know, that didn't even look remotely like that person. But in the dream, they feel like that person. And I think that's kind of what's happening here. River feels like she's living a dream, like that reality for her is almost in a dream state.
Yeah, almost like living the past and the future, at the same time. Because if you remember, like when she's in the beginning of the episode, when she's talking about them sticking needles in her eyes, and it's just her brother trying to get her to go do their, I guess, weekly checkup. And then he's like, "Okay, this is not a good time for her to go in." Um, and even when Mal comes in, she's like, "You're not the man," or something like
I always got the
Is she the
sense,
three-eyed
like
raven?
from the very beginning, I always got the sense that uh she couldn't differentiate like the past, the present, like she like everything's happening for her at once, and so it's like kind of hard for her to like understand what's happening.
Which is kind of
Yeah, she's
like
the three-eyed raven.
which is kind of like dreams, like dreams also don't like sometimes have that like sense of time, where it's like you're in a you're in a dream and it like goes for a second, but it feels like forever, or vice versa. It's for me, I think that like it just feels like it just feels like she's sort of living like kind of operating in this dream state. And so when I hear her say daddy, like I kind of understand that she means Mal, but I feel like she means it more on like a guttural level, but that like maybe that's not exactly what was in her mind, or maybe she was seeing Mal but kind of associating it with her own father. And
Jen, did you have something you wanted to say? I saw you on mute a little bit ago after I asked the question.
Oh, I had a weird theory thinking, like, what if her dad was kind of an evil guy and saying, like, don't worry about your sister, she's fine, because he knew exactly where she was. And now he's looking for her, and she's saying, Dad's coming to get us.
That's dark, and I love it.
ooh. Also, I should point out, while not like spitting images of one another, they certainly are in the same general look category. Nathan Fillion and the actor who played her father, like they're both tall men, dark short hair, kind of in a similar cut. There's something interesting about the fact that they kind of look a little bit alike.
Yeah. I always think of him as, and this isn't why I asked the question, but I don't know. I was thinking about it this time when I saw the episode. I was kind of thinking about that at the end, but I always think of him as the father figure because Kaylee looks up to him like that. And River is obviously the youngest of all of them in the group, but I never thought about the fact that he kind of looks like the father, but now you pointed out, I kind of see.
I love that scene with Mal and Kaylee, and he says, I'm a me old man.
They have a lot of conversations like that. She calls him an old tyrant. It's just their banter.
I really like that part.
And Nathan and Jewel are still that close today.
Bob, what were you gonna
I was gonna say I have a question. So the cattle that they were taken to this other planet, was this the cargo that the dude with the red sash?
Yes,
So the cattle was
correct.
his cargo?
Yeah, at the very end of the episode last on Monday, I was gonna say last week, but it was just Monday. That's what we see at the very end where Mal and are sitting looking down, and he says it's good to have cargo again, and it's the cows or the cattle.
Right, yeah. So I'm kind of expecting to see that guy again.
I,
Like
honestly, I
would
don't
they need to get
remember.
paid or something?
But did you guys notice? Did anybody notice that Mel picked up the coin that was dropped during the shootout,
Correct.
and he saw it when he was trying to get his gun, and then when they bring Book into the infirmary, he throws it on the counter in a like the bag has a little bit of blood on it. So he got paid by the people by taking the money off the ground. But did he get more than he was supposed to get? maybe he doesn't need to go back to the guy with the sash, other than to deliver the payment, unless that guy, I don't know.
I mean, I think the bag of money was the money, the 25 that they, wanted, but some of it fell out on the ground. I mean, obviously he could have gone back to get it after they cleared out the shootout.
I think he picked it
I
up
got
when they
one
were
minute
picking
before
up.
I'm about to harvest here. I'm totally nervous. Can I do it? Can I do it? Will my app
You can do
allow
it.
me?
Did you have your mementos all ready to
Yeah, I
go?
mean, it's going to be a scramble, and I'm just hoping that I don't get stalled at any point.
I'm surprised you didn't unlock them this morning before you went to
You
sleep.
can do it, John. You can do
Charlie, did you watch tonight's episode?
No, I was running camera for a conference. I have caught up until tonight's episode, though. I'll have to watch it like Saturday or Sunday. I was just
Yeah,
driving to the hotel. So
your first time viewer. Have you been enjoying this?
yeah, I like it. I really liked, what was it, Monday's episode? Um, really liked Monday's episode with the party scene. That was
The
good.
shindig? You like
Shindig. Yeah, I really liked that one. That is not a parking spot. Just kidding. Sorry. I'm trying to find a parking spot at a hotel, which if anybody knows, it's always a nightmare, especially at 11 o'clock at night. But no,
Well,
I've really been
you shouldn't
liking
be
it so far.
driving, Tom.
It's
Yeah, I'm
Bluetooth.
glad
I'm
you're
not touching my
enjoying it.
phone. Yeah, it's
I'm
been
glad.
really
And
good so far.
did you like Haley's dress in the shindig?
I loved her dress in the shindig. It was beautiful. I liked
She looked like
Inara's
she
too.
belonged on top of a cake.
She really, she really did look like she belonged on top of a cake.
Well, Disney now owns Firefly. That's her Disney princess dress.
Yes, it very much was a Disney princess.
We can all tell that John is focused on his screen, waiting to hit buttons, put in numbers, and hit buttons.
All right, here's a question, y'all. From what you've seen thus far, uh, who do you think would win in a fight between Mal and Jane?
Jane would cheat,
I'm gonna.
I think they
probably
both would
Jane.
cheat.
I was gonna say I would go with Jane because I think he'd do something dirty. That's funny. You all said he would cheat.
Yeah, I think they both would cheat.
But Zoe would back up Mel.
Zoe would back up Mal in a heartbeat.
That's very true. So Jane would lose
I
in that case because
I also think Jane's not
I
dumb
didn't
enough to
make it.
try
I
and
didn't
take on
make it.
Mal.
My app crashed right before the harvest, and I got knocked out to the main menu 1 minute before. No way I'll get in.
Wait. You
I
can
think
do
you
it, John. You can
you
totally do it.
No,
You're
there's
the
no way. It's no way. No way. Oh.
Did you do it, John, or no?
Oh
What
no, there's no
happened?
way. I mean, there's no way I'll get this. It's 7:59 right now. It's literally that was do or die. It's like either I get in there with no problem or I don't make it. There's no way that it's going to be there.
You can do it,
he's
John.
given up, guys.
Yeah,
He's given.
No,
right.
no. I'm telling you. 12, 1, 2, 2, 9, 3, 1, 2, 2.
If only you could
Nope.
My
talk
Eight.
clock.
to.
Eight. Nope. 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. Nope. Done. It's done. It's gone.
If only.
Oh man!
We all
And I just
held our
got back
breath
in,
for
and I
you.
just got back in right then. Just got back in. I might have actually
All
been
right.
able to do it if I hadn't have chatted there for a
Yeah,
second.